Kehoe stood in the center of the massive chamber, his hands clasped behind his back. The air felt thick and cold. Around him, 12 alien beings sat on floating platforms that glowed with soft blue light. Each one looked different from the others. Some had too many eyes, others had skin that changed colors, and a few had tentacles instead of arms. The chamber was huge. The walls curved upward and disappeared into darkness above. Strange symbols floated in the air, showing images and data that Kehoe could not read. He had been Earth's ambassador to the galaxy for 5 years now. He knew this day would come. "Human Kehoe of Earth," said the creature in the center platform. Its voice echoed through the chamber. This was Vexathari, the leader of the Galactic Council. It had gray skin and 6 arms, and when it spoke, its mouth revealed rows of sharp teeth. "You stand here today to answer for the crimes of your species." Kehoe nodded once, but said nothing. He watched as holographic images appeared above him. The images showed human colonies on distant worlds. They showed humans building cities, farms, and factories. They showed human ships moving between stars. For the past 50 years, Vexathari continued, humans have spread across the galaxy like a disease. You build where you should not build. You change worlds without asking permission. You contact species that should be left alone. Another alien spoke up. This one looked like a giant insect with golden wings. The Terraform Protocol clearly states that no species may change a world's environment without council approval. Humans have broken this law on 47 worlds. The non-contact rule forbids interaction with primitive species, added a third alien. This one was covered in blue fur and had 3 heads. Humans have made contact with 23 species that had not yet developed space travel. Kehoe listened to the charges. Each one was true. Humans had indeed done all these things. They had terraformed worlds to make them suitable for human life. They had built cities and farms and mines. They had met other species and shared technology with them. But Kehoe felt no shame about any of it. Most serious of all, Vexathari said, its voice growing louder, is the crime of excessive adaptation. Humans learn too quickly. They change too fast. They take our technology and make it better. This threatens the stability of our galactic order. The holographic images changed. Now they showed human technology. Ships that moved faster than they should. Weapons that were more powerful than expected. Cities that grew larger than any other species had ever built. "We have watched you for decades," said another council member. This one looked like a walking tree with crystal leaves. "Every time we share knowledge with humans, you use it to create something new, something we did not expect. This cannot continue." Kehoe finally spoke. His voice was calm and steady. "Are you saying that learning and growing is a crime?" "We are saying that humans learn too much, too fast," Vexathari replied. "You do not respect the natural order. You do not follow the rules that keep peace in the galaxy. Other species take centuries to master new technology," said the insect-like alien. "Humans master it in years, then improve it. This disrupts the balance we have worked to maintain." Kehoe looked around the chamber. He could see fear in their alien eyes. They were afraid of what humans might become. They were afraid of being left behind. "The Council has reached a decision," Vexathari announced. "By unanimous vote, we hereby exile the human species from the galactic community. All trade agreements are canceled. All technology sharing is ended. All human colonies outside the Sol system must be abandoned." The chamber fell silent. Kehoe felt the weight of their stares. This was the moment they expected him to beg. They expected him to plead for mercy, to promise that humans would change, to offer anything to avoid exile. Instead, Kehoe smiled. "You have 30 galactic rotations to remove all human presence from space beyond your home system," Vexathari continued. "Any human found outside Sol after that time will be considered a hostile invader." Understood, Kehoe said simply. We will be gone in 20 rotations. The aliens looked surprised. They had expected arguments, negotiations, desperate offers. They had not expected calm acceptance. You agree to these terms? Asked the tree-like alien. I agree that it is time for humans to leave, Kehoe replied. 20 rotations should be enough time. Vexathari leaned forward on its platform. You realize what this means? Without galactic technology and trade, human civilization will collapse. You will be trapped in one star system forever. Kehoe's smile grew wider. We will see about that. He touched the communication device on his wrist. A holographic image of a woman appeared beside him. She had short black hair and wore a simple uniform. This was Dr. Hai-Jin, Earth's chief scientific advisor. Dr. Hai-Jin, Kehoe said, please inform Admiral Tae-sung that the Council has made their decision. Exile, effective in 30 rotations. Understood, Ambassador, Hai-Jin replied. Should I activate the Exodus protocol? Yes. Tell the Admiral we leave in 20 rotations, not 30. The hologram disappeared. Kehoe turned back to face the Council. Their confusion was clear on their alien faces. Is there anything else? Kehoe asked politely. You seem remarkably calm for someone whose species has just been banished, Vexathari said slowly. Kehoe straightened his jacket and prepared to leave. You know what humans do when someone tells us we cannot do something? The aliens waited for his answer. We proved them wrong. Kehoe turned and walked toward the chamber's exit. His footsteps echoed in the vast space. Behind him, the council members whispered to each other in their alien languages. They had expected tears, anger, or desperation. They had not expected confidence. As the chamber doors closed behind him, Kehoe allowed himself a small laugh. The galaxy wanted humans gone. Fine. They would leave, but they would not hide in Seoul like defeated animals. They would show the galaxy what humans could really do when they were free from alien rules and expectations. The real journey was about to begin. The message from Kehoe reached Earth in less than an hour. Admiral Tae-sung sat in the command center deep beneath the surface of Earth's moon. Around him, dozens of screens showed data from across human space. He had been waiting for this call for 15 years. Activate Exodus Protocol, he said quietly into his headset. Across the solar system, hidden systems came to life. On Mars, Sora received the signal in her secret workshop buried under the polar ice cap. She had been working on this project since she was a young engineer. Now, at 45, she was ready to show the galaxy what humans had really been building. All construction teams, this is Engineer Sora, she spoke into her communicator. Begin Phase 1 activation. Bring the ships online. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, massive structures began to move. What alien spy satellites had thought were mining stations suddenly revealed their true purpose. Huge metal frameworks unfolded like flowers blooming in space. These were not mining platforms. They were shipyards, hidden in plain sight for decades. The asteroids themselves began to change shape. What looked like space rocks were actually camouflaged ships. Hundreds of them. Each one larger than any vessel the galactic community had ever seen. They had been built piece by piece, using materials mined from the asteroids themselves. To alien sensors, they looked like natural debris. On Earth, Dr. Namwoo stood in his laboratory, watching readouts from across the solar system. He was a thin man with gray hair and excited eyes. For 30 years, he had been developing technology, in secret. While aliens shared their advanced knowledge with humans, Namwoo had been improving it. Quantum tunnel drives are online, he reported to Admiral Tae-sung. All ships show green status. We can begin movement whenever you give the order. The quantum tunnel drives were Namwoo's greatest achievement. Alien technology could move ships faster than light, but it required special fuel and left energy signatures that could be tracked. Namwoo's drives used quantum physics to create temporary tunnels through space. They were faster than alien technology and left no trace. "What about the terraforming packages?" Tae-sung asked. "Ready for deployment," Namwoo replied. "The biological systems are stable and eager to begin work." Namwoo had also created something the aliens had never imagined. Instead of slowly changing worlds using machines and chemicals, his bioengineering team had developed living organisms that could transform entire planets. These creatures could eat rock and breathe out oxygen. They could turn poisonous atmospheres into breathable air in months instead of centuries. Across human space, Supply Master Hyun-woo was coordinating the largest moving operation in history. Every human colony had been secretly preparing for this day. They had built special storage containers disguised as regular buildings. They had trained for emergency evacuation procedures that looked like panic, but were actually carefully planned operations. "Titan Base, report status," Hyun-woo called, to the human colony on Saturn's moon. "All supplies loaded," came the reply. "Population ready for transport. Alien monitors report normal activity." This was the genius of the plan. To alien watchers, it looked like humans were struggling to meet the 30-day deadline. They saw panicked loading of ships, hasty abandonment of buildings, and desperate attempts to save what they could. They did not see the careful coordination behind every action. Every piece of useful equipment was being saved. Every human was being moved. According to a precise schedule, nothing valuable was being left behind. But to alien eyes, it looked like chaos and defeat. So-Ra floated in zero gravity inside the command center of humanity's hope, the largest of the hidden ships. Through the transparent aluminum windows, she could see the vast interior of the vessel. It was not just a ship. It was a mobile city, capable of supporting 50,000 people for decades. "How many ships do we have total?" she asked her assistant. 237 generation ships, came the reply. 48 fast scouts, 112 cargo vessels, and the special projects. The special projects were So-Ra's secret pride. While building the obvious ships, her teams had also constructed vessels unlike anything ever seen. Ships that could move through space without being detected. Ships that could repair themselves. Ships that could build other ships. On Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon, another team was loading the most precious cargo of all. These were not supplies or equipment. These were the archives, every piece of human knowledge, every scientific discovery, every work of art and literature. If humanity was leaving the galaxy, they would take their entire civilization with them. Dr. Hyejin stood in the communication center on Earth, watching data streams from across human space. Her job was to make sure the alien monitors saw exactly what they expected to see. Human colonies shutting down, ships being loaded in apparent panic, communications filled with worry and confusion. "The Centauri colony is reporting successful evacuation," she told Admiral Tae-sung. "Alien observers confirm they see frantic loading of emergency supplies only." In reality, the Centauri colony had spent 5 years secretly building underground factories. They had produced enough advanced equipment to supply 10 colonies. All of it was now being moved to the hidden ships, disguised as personal belongings and emergency rations. "What about the technology transfers?" Tae-sung asked. "Complete," Hyejin replied. "Every human colony has downloaded copies of all research and development data. If we lose contact with any group, they will still have everything they need to continue the project." This was another part of the plan that aliens could not understand. Human colonies did not just trade with each other. They shared everything. Every scientific breakthrough, every engineering improvement, every useful discovery was immediately sent to all human settlements. No human group ever fell behind because they all learned together. Namwoo checked his final calculations. The quantum tunnel drives would allow human ships to travel farther and faster than any alien vessel could follow. But more importantly, they could go to places the aliens had never explored. The galaxy was vast, and the known civilizations occupied only a small part of it. "Admiral," he reported, "long-range sensors have identified 17,000 star systems beyond the galactic rim. Most show signs of mineral wealth and potentially habitable worlds." "Any signs of intelligent life?" Tae-sung asked. "None in the areas we plan to explore first. We will have room to grow without disturbing anyone." Hyun-woo was finalizing the movement schedules. In 18 days, every human would be aboard the ships and ready to leave. The aliens had given them 30 days, expecting humans to struggle and barely meet the deadline. Instead, humans would be gone with time to spare. "All supply transfers complete," he reported. "Food production systems online, manufacturing capabilities at full capacity. We are ready for extended independent operation." Sora smiled as she watched the final preparations. The aliens thought they were exiling humans to a single star system. They thought humans would be trapped and helpless without galactic technology and trade. They were wrong. Humans were not being exiled. They were being freed. Free from alien rules and restrictions. Free from having to ask permission to explore and build and grow. Free to show the galaxy what humans could really accomplish when they had room to work. "Begin Phase 2, Admiral," Tae-sung ordered. "Prepare for departure." Across human space, the hidden ships began to move. Not toward Earth as the aliens expected, but toward the edge of the galaxy. Toward freedom. Captain Soo-jin stood on the bridge of the exploration ship New Horizon, watching the stars change on the main screen. They had been traveling for 2 weeks since leaving the last alien monitoring station behind. The ship moved through space, using Nam-Woo's quantum tunnel drives, jumping from one point to another without leaving any trail. "How far are we from known space?" she asked her navigator. 15,000 light years, Captain," came the reply. "We are now in regions that no galactic civilization has ever explored." Soo-jin smiled. The aliens had called these areas the Void and Dead Space. They believed nothing of value existed beyond their controlled territories. They were about to learn how wrong they could be. "Begin scanning for suitable systems," she ordered. "Look for anything unusual." Behind them, the great exodus continued. Admiral Tae-sung had organized the human fleet into multiple groups. Some headed toward distant star clusters, others moved toward the galactic rim. A few, like Soo-jin's group, pushed into the space between the galaxy's spiral arms. On the bridge of New Horizon, Dong-hyun studied the sensor readings with growing excitement. He was a xenoarchaeologist, an expert in studying the remains of alien civilizations. For years, he had wondered why the galaxy seemed so empty outside the known territories. "Captain," he said, his voice filled with wonder, "I am detecting artificial structures in the next system." Soo-jin turned to look at him. "Artificial? Are you certain?" "The shapes are too regular to be natural," Dong-hyun replied. "And the materials, I have never seen anything like this. Whatever built these structures used technology far beyond anything in the galactic community." The New Horizon dropped out of quantum tunnel space at the edge of a star system. What they saw on the screens left the entire crew speechless. Massive structures floated in the space around the central star. Some were rings that could have fit Earth's entire orbit. Inside them, others were spheres larger than gas giants. All of them were clearly artificial. "My God," whispered Soo-jin. "How old are these?" Dong-hyun was running every scan he could think of. Based on the stellar positioning and metal composition, at least 50,000 years old. Maybe more. "Are they active?" "Sensors show no power signatures. No movement. They appear to be completely dormant." Soo-jin made a decision that would change the course of human history. "Take us closer. I want a full survey." As New Horizon approached the nearest structure, more details became visible. The surface was covered in patterns that looked almost like circuit boards, but on a massive scale. Strange symbols covered sections of the hull, glowing faintly in the starlight. "These are not just buildings," Dong-hyun said softly. "These are machines, incredibly complex machines." On another ship, Yoon-soo was analyzing the signals that New Horizon was sending back to the fleet. She was a techno-linguist, someone who specialized in understanding alien communication systems. But what she was seeing made no sense. The symbols. "Match patterns in our quantum tunnel drive technology," she reported to Admiral Tae-sung. "Not exactly, but the mathematical relationships are similar." "Are you saying humans and whoever built these use similar technology?" Tae-sung asked. "I am saying that whoever built these may have invented the principles that Dr. Namwoo used to create our drives," Yoon-soo replied. "The quantum frequencies are almost identical." Back on New Horizon, Dong-hyun was leading a small team to explore one of the smaller structures. They wore environmental suits and carried every scanning device they could fit on their shuttle. The structure they approached was only the size of a city, which made it tiny compared to the others. "I am reading. An atmosphere inside," reported his assistant. "Breathable for humans, surprisingly. That seems unlikely after 50,000 years," Dong-hyun said. "Run the scans again." The scans confirmed it. Not only was there atmosphere inside the structure, but the air was fresh and clean. Someone or something was maintaining these ancient machines. They found an opening in the structure's hull and carefully entered. Inside, they discovered corridors and chambers filled with technology that made galactic civilization look primitive. Walls covered in flowing patterns that pulsed with soft light. Devices that responded to their presence by displaying information in languages they could not read. "Captain," Dong-hyun called back to the ship, "you need to see this." Hours later, Soo-jin stood in what appeared to be a control room. The walls showed star maps of the entire galaxy, but they were not like any maps she had seen before. These maps showed structures throughout space, connected by lines of light. "There are hundreds of these installations," she said, studying the displays. "All across the galaxy. How did the galactic community miss them?" Yoon-soo's voice came through the communication system. "Captain, I have been analyzing the frequency signatures. These structures are designed to be invisible to the scanning technology used by current galactic civilizations." "Invisible how?" "They operate on quantum frequencies that standard sensors cannot detect. But our new scanning equipment, the systems Dr. Namwoo designed based on human innovation, those can see them perfectly." Dong-hyun found something even more interesting. In the center of the control room was a device that looked like it was waiting for someone to use it. When he approached, symbols appeared on its surface, symbols that seemed familiar somehow. "Yoon-soo," he called, "I need you down here. These symbols, I think they are trying to communicate with us." Yoon-soo arrived on the next shuttle and immediately began studying the device. She connected her portable computer to the alien system and started running analysis programs. What she found made her heart race. "These are not just symbols," she said. "This is a programming language. And the mathematical base. It matches human binary systems." "That is impossible," Soo-jin said. "Humans developed binary mathematics independently." "Unless we did not," Yoon-soo replied quietly. "Unless someone taught us long ago." She worked for hours, slowly understanding the alien programming language. It was incredibly advanced, but it followed logical patterns that human minds could understand. Finally, she found what appeared to be an activation sequence. "Captain," she said, "I think I can turn this on." "Is it safe?" "The power levels are stable, and if this system has been waiting for 50,000 years, it was built to last." Soo-jin made another decision that would echo through history. "Do it!" Yoon-soo entered the activation sequence. The device hummed to life, and suddenly the entire chamber filled with light. Holographic displays appeared everywhere, showing information. in symbols that were slowly changing into forms that looked more familiar. Then a voice spoke. It used sounds that human ears could understand, words that human minds could process. "Welcome, children of Earth," the voice said. "We have been waiting for you." The galaxy had just become a much different place, and the aliens who had exiled humanity were about to learn that they had made the biggest mistake in galactic history. The structures were not ruins. They were inheritance, left by a civilization that had known humanity would someday reach the stars. The galaxy belonged to whoever could claim it. And humanity had just found the keys. 6 months had passed since humanity first activated the ancient structure. Chief Engineer Mi Young stood in the control center of what humans now called Architect Station 1, watching displays that showed the impossible becoming routine. "Manufacturing Complex 7 is online," she reported to Admiral Tae-sung through the communication link. "We now have 12 active Architect installations producing materials and equipment." The Architect technology was beyond anything humans had imagined. These ancient machines could build almost anything, given the right instructions. They could create new elements by rearranging matter at the atomic level. They could construct devices that seemed to violate the laws of physics as humans understood them. "What is our current production capacity?" Tae-sung asked. "We are building 3 new worlds per month," Mi Young replied calmly, as if creating planets was normal. "The Architect systems can take raw asteroids and transform them into habitable worlds in just weeks." This was not terraforming as the galaxy understood it. This was planet manufacturing. The Architect machines could reshape matter itself, creating continents and oceans and atmospheres from basic materials. Each new world was designed specifically for human needs. Fleet Commander In-ho reviewed the tactical reports in his command ship. What he read would have seemed like fantasy just a year ago. Humanity now had defenses that made them nearly impossible to attack. "Test results from the temporal defense grid?" he asked his aide. "Successful, sir. Any hostile force that approaches. Our territory is isolated in a temporal bubble. From their perspective, they move normally. From our perspective, they move so slowly that a missile takes years to travel a few meters. The Architect defensive systems did not destroy enemies. They were more sophisticated than that. Hostile ships and weapons simply became irrelevant, frozen in time until humans decided what to do with them. What about the energy redirection systems?" "Even more impressive," his aide replied. "Enemy weapons fire is converted into power for our own systems. The stronger the attack, the more energy we gain." In-ho smiled grimly. "Any force that tried to attack human territory would find their weapons turned against them. Their own energy would strengthen human defenses. It was elegant and terrifying." On Earth, diplomatic analyst Yu Jin monitored communications from Galactic community space. What she was seeing confirmed her suspicions about the political situation there. "Admiral," she reported to Tae-sung, "the galactic community is experiencing major internal problems. 3 member species have formally complained about the human exile. They claim the Council acted without considering the consequences. The problems had started small. Several species had been working on joint research projects with humans. When humans disappeared, these projects collapsed. Trade routes that depended on human colonies were disrupted. Technologies that humans had shared were no longer being improved or maintained." "Which species are complaining the loudest?" Tae-sung asked. "The Kethmori crystal miners," Yujin replied. "Humans had developed new extraction techniques that tripled their mining efficiency. Without human innovation, their economy is failing." "What about the Veltaran shipbuilders? They are demanding that the Council reverse the exile. Human modifications to their ship designs made their vessels 50% faster. Now their competitors are outselling them." The galaxy was learning what humans had brought to the galactic community. It was not just trade and resources. Humans had been the source of constant innovation and improvement. Without them, technological progress had nearly stopped. Boram stood in the communication chamber of Architect Station 1, speaking with an intelligence that was older than recorded galactic history. The Architect AI had awakened when humans activated enough of their installations. "Tell me about the current galactic civilizations," Boram said to the ancient intelligence. "They are the descendants," the AI replied. Its voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Long ago, our people created servant species to help maintain the galaxy while we explored beyond. You created them. We guided their evolution and gave them technology to maintain basic order. We expected to return within a few thousand years. We did not expect to be gone for 50 millennia." Boram was beginning to understand the truth about galactic history. The proud civilizations of the galactic community were not the inheritors of ancient wisdom. They were the descendants of janitors and maintenance workers. "Why did you leave?" "We discovered that this galaxy was just one of many. We went to explore the universe beyond, leaving our servant species to care for our home. We expected them to remain humble and helpful. Instead, they became arrogant and controlling. And humans? Humans are what we always intended to create. A species with infinite adaptability and curiosity. A species that would explore and grow and learn without limits. We guided human evolution from a distance, waiting for you to reach the stars." The implications were staggering. Humans were not just another species. They were the chosen inheritors of the galaxy's true masters. "What happens now?" Boram asked. "Now you must decide the future of the galaxy. The descendants have become corrupt and stagnant. They fear change and suppress innovation. They have failed in their purpose." Meanwhile, in galactic community space, the first Council Scout ships had finally reached the areas where humans had been exiled. What they found shattered their understanding of reality. The scout ship captain, a reptilian creature named Sectar, stared at his sensor readings in disbelief. Where empty space should have been, he saw massive installations that his sensors could barely detect. "Report to Council immediately," he ordered his communications officer. "Priority 1 emergency." The message that reached the galactic community sent shockwaves through every member world. Humans had not been hiding in defeat. They had been building an empire using technology that made galactic civilization look primitive. Vexthari received the report in the council chambers where humanity had been exiled just months earlier. The creature that had been so confident in its decision now felt something it had never experienced before. Fear. "How many installations?" it demanded. "Sensors. Detect at least 12 major structures," the scout captain reported. "Each one is larger than our biggest space stations, and they are building more." "What about human ships?" "We cannot get accurate counts. Their vessels use technology that makes them difficult to track, but estimates suggest hundreds of ships, each more advanced than anything in our fleet." Another council member, the insect-like creature with golden wings, spoke up. "This is impossible. Humans were cut off from galactic technology. How could they advance so quickly?" The answer came from an unexpected source. A small diplomatic ship appeared at the edge of council space, broadcasting human identification codes. The ship requested permission to dock at Nexus Prime Station. Vexthari was tempted to refuse, but curiosity won over pride. The ship was allowed to dock, and its single occupant was escorted to the council chambers. Ambassador Kehoe walked into the chamber where he had been humiliated months earlier. But this time, everything was different. He carried himself with quiet confidence, and his simple human uniform somehow seemed more impressive than the exotic clothing of the alien council members. "Honored Council," he said with a slight bow. "I bring greetings from the Architect Human Alliance." "The what?" Vexthari demanded. "We have made contact with the original builders of galactic civilization," Kehoe replied calmly. "They have recognized humanity as their chosen successors. We are here to discuss the future of the galaxy." The chamber fell silent. The aliens, who had exiled humanity, now faced a truth they could not deny. They had not banished a troublesome species. They had expelled the galaxy's rightful inheritors, and those inheritors had just returned to claim their birthright. 1 year after the exile, the galaxy had become unrecognizable. Ambassador Kehoe stood once again in the council chambers, but the dynamics had completely reversed. Where once he had been a defendant facing judgment, he now represented the most powerful force the galaxy had ever known. The Architect-Human Alliance offers membership to all species willing to embrace progress, Kehoe announced to the assembled council. We are not here to conquer or destroy. We are here to fulfill the original purpose of galactic civilization. Vexathari struggled to maintain its authority in a situation that had spiraled beyond its control. The past months had been disastrous for the galactic community. 3 more member species had requested independent contact with humanity. 2 others had refused to pay council taxes, claiming the organization had become irrelevant. You speak of progress, Vexathari said, its voice lacking the confidence it once held. But we have maintained peace in the galaxy for millennia. You have maintained stagnation, Kehoe replied gently. The architects left you with instructions to preserve and protect. Instead, you created a system that prevents growth and innovation. In the months since humanity's exile, the true scope of the change had become clear. The architect installations that humans had activated were just the beginning. Throughout the galaxy, ancient systems were awakening. Technologies that had slept for 50,000 years were coming online. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Taesung reviewed reports from across human space. What he read would have been impossible to believe a year ago. Population report, he requested from his aide. 47 new worlds are now habitable and settled, came the reply. Total human population has increased by 200 million. Construction of an additional 60 worlds is in progress. The architect manufacturing systems had revolutionized human expansion. Where once it took decades to establish a colony, humans could now create entire civilizations in months. Each new world was built specifically for human needs, with perfect climates and abundant resources. What about integration with other species? 12 non-council species have requested alliance membership. The Kethimori miners have formally withdrawn from the galactic community to join us. The Velteran shipbuilders are expected to announce their decision within days. The species that had been working most closely with humans before the exile were the first to realize the truth. The galactic community had expelled their most valuable partners. Now those same species were abandoning the old system to join the new one. On Architect Station 1, integration specialist Jae Hyun coordinated the transition program that was reshaping galactic politics. Her office overlooked a vast construction bay where humans and aliens worked together on projects that would have been impossible under the old system. Status of the voluntary transition program? Admiral Tae-sung asked during their daily briefing. Exceeding all expectations, Jae-hyun replied. We now have 43 species participating in joint research projects. Scientific advancement has accelerated beyond our most optimistic projections. The key to the program's success was simple: cooperation instead of hierarchy. Under the galactic community system, each species had been assigned specific roles and forbidden from others. The council decided who could research what, who could trade with whom, and who could settle where. The Architect-Human Alliance had eliminated these restrictions. Any species could pursue any field of study. Any discovery was immediately shared. With all Alliance members, the result was an explosion of innovation that benefited everyone. What about resistance from the hardline council members? They attempted to organize a military response last month, Jae-hyun reported. The results were educational for them. The hardline council members, led by Vexathari, had gathered a fleet of their most advanced warships. Their plan was to attack human territory and force humanity back into exile. The plan had failed spectacularly. Fleet Commander In-Ho had been monitoring the approaching hostile fleet from his command center. The Architect defensive systems had detected the ships weeks before they arrived at human space. Activate temporal isolation fields, In-Ho had ordered. The enemy fleet had simply stopped. From their perspective, they were moving normally toward their target. From human perspective, they were frozen in time, moving so slowly that their fastest ships would take centuries to travel a single kilometer. Deploy energy conversion grids, In-Ho had continued. Every weapon the enemy fleet fired was absorbed and converted into power for human systems. Their own attacks made human defenses stronger. The more they shot, the more helpless they became. Send a diplomatic message, In-Ho had finally ordered. Inform them that they can leave whenever they choose to stop being hostile. The message was simple. The moment the enemy fleet turned around and headed home, the temporal fields would be deactivated. They could leave in peace any time they wanted. They just could not advance while maintaining hostile intent. Most of the fleet had turned around within hours. A few stubborn ships had remained frozen in time for weeks before finally giving up. The lesson was clear. Humanity could not be defeated by force. Back in the council chambers, the political situation continued to deteriorate for the old guard. The insect-like council member with golden wings spoke up during the current session. Perhaps it is time to consider accommodation with the humans, it suggested carefully. Accommodation? Vexathari's voice was sharp. They have destroyed everything we built. They have improved everything we built, corrected the tree-like council member. Species that have joined their alliance report technological advancement. Rates 50 times higher than before. They report happiness levels previously unknown, added the blue-furred member with 3 heads. Their citizens are healthier, more educated, and more prosperous than any in the galactic community. Kehoe listened to the debate with patience. He understood their fear. For millennia, these species had been in control. Now they faced the possibility of becoming irrelevant. The Alliance does not seek to replace the Council, he said when the arguments died down. We seek to fulfill the original vision of galactic civilization. A community where all species can grow and explore and learn together. Under human leadership, Vexathari said bitterly. Under architect guidance, Kehoe corrected. Humans are simply the species chosen to implement their vision. Any species that embraces that vision can participate equally. On the construction site of New Nexus, engineer So-Ra supervised the building of something unprecedented. The new station was being constructed using both human innovation and architect technology, designed by representatives of 40 different species working together. Foundation systems complete, she reported to Admiral Tae-Sung. The first diplomatic modules will be ready for occupation next month. New Nexus would replace the old council chambers as the center of galactic government. But unlike the intimidating hierarchy of the old system, New Nexus was designed as a place of cooperation and learning. What makes it different from the old station? Tae-Sung asked. Everything, So-Ra replied with excitement. Instead of a chamber where council members sit above everyone else, we have collaborative workspaces where all species meet as equals. Instead of presenting problems to authority figures, species will work together to solve problems. And if they cannot agree, the Architect AI will provide guidance based on 50,000 years of galactic observation, but the goal is to reach consensus through cooperation, not to impose decisions through authority. The first session at New Nexus was scheduled for the following month. 47 species had already committed to participate. Only 5 species remained loyal to the old council system, and even those were showing signs of wavering. As Kehoe prepared to leave the old council chambers for the last time, Vexathari approached him privately. This was not supposed to happen, the alien leader said quietly. We believed we were protecting the galaxy from human chaos. Kehoe studied the creature that had once held such power over galactic affairs. Now it seemed small and tired. You were protecting yourselves from human innovation, Kehoe replied gently. You had grown comfortable with a system that gave you control. But control is not the same as leadership. What happens to species like mine? Species that cannot adapt to your new order? The same thing that happens to every species in the Alliance, Kehoe said. You learn, you grow, and you contribute what you can. The only requirement is that you stop trying to prevent others from doing the same. 6 months later, the transformation was complete. New Nexus hummed with activity as representatives from over 60 species worked together on projects that spanned the galaxy. Children of different species played together in the station's parks while their parents collaborated on research that was advancing civilization at an unprecedented rate. The galaxy that had once exiled humanity now thrived, under human guidance. But it was not human domination that made the difference. It was human philosophy. The belief that everyone could grow, everyone could learn, and everyone could contribute to something greater than themselves. Standing in the observation deck of New Nexus, Sora watched ships arrive from across the galaxy, bringing new species eager to join the Alliance.